Short vort on the Parsha. Parsha's Miketz. This week we're going to say a piece over from the Sfas Emes. So in last week's Parsha, let's just set the scene a little bit, we learned that Yosef was falsely accused of rape by his master's wife. Now, Yosef sits in jail for 10 years, and he notices two of his fellow inmates, the chief butler and the chief baker and the chief wine steward, like the person who pours the drinks for the pharaoh, sitting in jail with him, and they appear to be a little downcast, more than usual. So Yosef asks and says, "Why are you guys downcast?" And the chief wine steward speaks up and says, "Because I had a dream, and there was nobody here who can interpret it." And Yosef says that all dreams are from Hashem. Let me, with his help, interpret your dream. And Yosef interprets the dream, and he tells the chief wine steward, "Oh, you're going to get out very soon. So when you get out, as the verse says over here, Ki'im zachartani itecha ka'asher yitavlach v'asisa na imadi chased v'hizartani el paro v'hotzi'ani mi bais hazeh. But remember me when things go well with you. Please deal kindly with me, and mention me to Pharaoh, and take me out of this house." Now, our sages comment on this verse, and for us, it would be normal, like if you just gave somebody good news, you'd say, "Hey, can you put in a big word with the big guy up there for a favor for me?" Seems like to be a normal thing. Yet our sages say that Yosef was punished because in this verse it says Zachartani, Zachartani, which means remember me. The word is mentioned 2 times in the verse, meaning that Yosef kind of said, "Hey, remember me when you get out, mention me to Pharaoh." So it seemed like Yosef was as if he was imploring the chief wine steward to mention him to Pharaoh, which is wrong, meaning imploring is like over-reliance on somebody. It kind of comes off as kind of desperate. And Yosef, who's such a great person, such a great tzaddik, should not be imploring or be desperate for a human being to help him. Meaning, it's no problem if you ask the chief wine steward one time, at least according to some opinions, to mention you to Pharaoh, because that's a normal thing. That's ishtadlus. But that you're imploring him to do so and you're asking him multiple times, that is not proper of a righteous person. A righteous person should put a good amount of faith in Hashem. And our sages say, because he said Zachartani, remember me, and used that kind of language 2 times, he said it twice, he was punished with 2 extra years in prison onto his original 10-year sentence. So now, here's the thing. We understand Yosef as being a paragon of faith. So how do we reconcile Yosef being a paragon of faith and what he did, his over-reliance, seemingly on relying on the chief butler, or the chief wine steward, however you want to refer to him as? So is this just a blemish in his perfect record, so to speak? So the key to this, the Sfas Emes says, is the last verse of last week's Parsha, which introduces us to this week's Parsha, which says, "V'lo zachar sar mashkim es Yosef yishkachehu." However, the chief butler did not remember Yosef, but forgot him. Now, the Sfas Emes says that the verse seems to be a little repetitive and redundant. Why? Because we know the Torah doesn't repeat things unnecessarily. And the verse says, "V'lo zachar hasar mashkim es Yosef." The chief butler did not remember Yosef, vishkachehu, but forgot him. Well, why do you have to say that? Why can't you just say, "V'lo zachar hasar mashkim es Yosef"? The chief butler did not remember Yosef. Not remembering somebody is very similar or if you want to say the same thing, as forgetting him. So why does the Torah say the chief butler didn't remember him and he forgot him? So what the Sfas Emes says, and it's a very beautiful idea, is that tzaddikim, they are not like us. Okay? Meaning when we make a mistake, we deny the mistake. We try to rationalize to ourselves and say, "I didn't really make a mistake." And even sometimes when we do realize we make a mistake, we're just okay with it afterwards. And tzaddikim, they're not okay with it. So he says to reread the verse and understand it like this. "V'lo zachar sar mashkim es Yosef." The chief butler did not remember Yosef, and maybe period, however you want to say it. Vishkachehu, and he forgot him. The "he forgot him" is going on Yosef. Meaning now it makes sense. If you understand the lo zachar sar mashkim es Yosef, okay, that's one action. The chief butler just didn't remember Yosef. He just kind of It wasn't on his mind, and he went through his life passive, not remembering Yosef. And then when it says Vishkasehu, and he forgot him, that's going on Yosef, meaning Yosef did an active action. He spent his time, he's saying, oh no, why am I sitting here an extra 2 years in jail? Oh, it's because I over-relied on the butler. So how do I rectify my over-reliance on the butler? So I'm going to spend my time right now actively forgetting about the butler, so that I won't think and be like, oh, I hope the butler remembered me today. I hope the butler remembered me today. No, I'm going to sit here and meditate the thought of the butler out of my head so that I realize that my only hope is from Hashem. Like, I'm not going to sit there waiting for the butler to remember me. I'm just going to forget that that ever happened and only daven to Hashem for salvation. And you can understand it this way because now it makes sense, because it's not saying he did not remember but he forgot him, and that would be going on the same person, because that would be redundant. Once you don't remember somebody, you don't have to actively put energy in forgetting that person. And so now the verse can be read as the chief butler did not remember Yosef, and that was a passive thing. Lo zachar is a passive thing. And he forgot him, which is an active thing, like an actual act of forgetting that was on Yosef. That was Yosef rectifying his sin of having remembered and thought of putting his trust in the chief butler. He spent his time doing, he realized it right away. He realized he made this mistake right away and sought to rectify it right away. So it's a beautiful lesson that we have to take in, that when we make a mistake, we acknowledge it and we work to rectify it right away, just like Yosef at Tzaddik. And he rectified it so much to the point that he didn't even remember the butler, which is why we can say that he was able to re-erase his sins, so to speak, and still be a paragon of faith.